Welcome everyone to the first episode of Fresh Out, where wait, hold up, that's fucking stupid. Where me go out. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Fresh Out. I'm Kood,
I'm JC.
and we are fresh out of the movie The Crow. It's a remake. Is it a remake?
Yeah, I think like kind of a reboot.
Yeah, a reboot. Let's
Yeah.
call it a reboot because it does not follow the original movie.
It doesn't. I don't
right?
know. Like I feel like the 1994 Crow, very sacred, very coveted. It's actually a lot different than you would think from this, right? It's not that Hollywood money grab that probably people are expecting it to be.
Yeah, it is different. It is, and I never watched the original. He watched the original, so we could have a little two different views. But like, I never saw the original. But even as a kid, when the original came out, it definitely could not have been what this movie is. Like in terms of just like storyline and character wise, like there's no way they could have did that back in the 90s.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
yes, that's a good observation for sure.
So I guess we can start with like cinematography or like imagery or just the overall look and feel of the movie, which I think they did okay. They did okay with like just the imagery. I was thinking like, because I'm a comic book reader, so there were definitely a lot of like shots in it that I think you could do a still frame of, and it be like a comic book frame. You know what I mean?
Stylistically, there was definitely some visceral, I think, like it definitely would capture your eye. Like if the plot, and we will talk more about like the plot and dialogue and all that. If it wasn't really captivating you, then they made up for it with kind of the style of certain shots and different kind of transitions and things like that.
Definitely, because like there were certain parts of the movie where like it wasn't the best dialogue, it wasn't the best story beats, right? And so just stylistically, they still kept me in. And it was kind of like, you know what, like this is stupid what's happening right now. But it looks cool.
Yes. I think that's the simplest version
That's
of
basically what it is, right?
It's like, I don't know what's happening right now, but I don't hate what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Visually, I would say, this movie is pretty well done visually. So whoever was the cinematographer, I'd have to look that up, but whoever was the cinematographer, whoever did the framing of the shots, whoever came up with the special effects were good.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I heard a lot of people on YouTube, like, they were talking mess about, like, oh, it's digital crows and all this. I'm like, bro, everything's digital now, dog. Like, how is that a complaint?
Like CGI crows, I mean, like, it was...
What, are you going to get a real crow to circle one dude? Like, like the crow was literally circling his head at some times in the movie. Are you going to train a crow to do that? You can't, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the gripes on other YouTubers' reviews are kind of like, bruh, come on, man. Where are you in the Matrix?
Yeah, like sometimes people are just hating to hate because they want to be cool, and it's like, and also I think, and you might have mentioned this before, it was like people were saying, oh, it's the worst movie of the year. I'm like, I'm not saying it's the best movie of the year. But
definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen, or even the worst movie that I've seen this year. If you've been watching The Rings of Power, that's not a movie, but it's pretty rough, right? And so like there are worse things to watch. If you saw The Acolyte on Disney Plus, there are worse things that came out this year, right? So so all in all, with the overall feel of it, I feel like they nailed the feel.
Yes.
They nailed the feel, even when it was suffering in other departments. The feel of it kept me in. I was like, you know what? This is like an emo chick's wet dream right now, because like it's spot on with just like the imagery of angst.
Yes.
And I would say teen angst, but homie's like in his 20s.
Yeah. Kind of, I would say like young adult, troubled young adults, right?
If I was a troubled young adult right now, I'm a troubled old adult, but if I was a troubled young adult, this would be spot on. I'd be like, yo, I like this movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And to speak a little bit further on that, like the casting, right? I think for a remake like this, the casting was on point. Bill Skarsgård,
Skarsgård was a good choice.
yeah, I think he is kind of known for having these kind of darker, troubled roles. Pennywise, for It. He had a other movie, Boy Kills World, where it was a similar thing where he's just this like misunderstood trauma, like raised.
He's just a traumatic guy. He comes from a
Yes.
traumatic family of all traumatic actors.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I bet there's probably some competition within his own family.
his
to be the
dad
best.
and his like older brother
Oh, yeah,
are like
Alex
all
Skarsgård,
really, yeah,
like
you know what I
True
mean?
Blood, and, like, he's been in a
exactly,
ton of
they're
movies.
all really
Stellan
good actors.
Skarsgård, yeah.
So that was the one thing. Like even when the acting or the dialogue made the acting hard to watch, because I kind of blame dialogue in this movie. I kind of blame like
Absolutely,
story beats and dialogue on the acting suffering in certain parts.
Yes.
Now there were some actors in it that are not good actors. We'll get to that, but like overall, they had actors in here that were competent, that were working with a script that was not competent in a lot of facets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overall, it wasn't the worst script ever written, right? But like some of this dialogue and stuff just came off. That'll lead us into storyline, right?
Yeah.
So imagery, spot on. Good job on imagery. But storyline is where we get into the stuff. So what's the story about?
Yeah, so I think the most simple version is, right, there's these two troubled, we'll say young adults that find themselves in a kind of rehab prison-like...
Co-ed.
Co-ed,
It's
by
a
the way,
co-ed rehab prison.
which I still don't get.
It's like, dude,
Like
you're going to
this-
put troubled females and troubled males together. And then not even like separate them at all.
Oh yeah,
like, I mean,
they're like, oh, there's a rule that they're not supposed to sit together, hang out, but like they don't even regulate.
yeah,
it.
they don't even regulate these rules, right? So
It's
they
like,
may
hey,
have.
you're not supposed to sit over there. Or no, yeah, he's like, you're not supposed to sit here. And she walks up and she's like, yeah, I know the rules. And it's like, okay.
No
And
no
then
guard
nothing
ever
happens.
comes,
Yeah.
right? And so like they may as well be taking showers together, like on Starship
Dude, I'm
Troopers.
like, is this really
Like,
prison or is this like he gets to live here? For
I
want
want to go to this rehab, dog. Like
Yeah.
I want to visit this rehab, bro.
Yeah.
Like it looked pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even the colors they're wearing like pink shirts and
Pink.
stuff. I'm
so
like,
so it started out with him getting bullied. So it
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
it makes the impression that he's a troubled guy,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe he's like misunderstood. He's Mr. Misunderstood, and so the movie starts out with like at the beginning. It starts out with a horse getting caught up in barbed wire,
Yep.
and so he's a child, and then it does some cheesy dialogue about when you love something, you'll die for it, or something like that. It's
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah. It was something
cheesy,
like that, for
but
sure.
he's a hillbilly in a trailer park, right? And so it shows like, okay, so he's had a troubled childhood, right? And so then it goes to him in the rehab. I guess he was a delinquent or whatever, and so he's in a rehab, and people are just making fun of him. So he's definitely that tortured soul character, right? It's setting him up for that,
Yes.
to where it's like he has a reason to fight people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But he's not a fighter. He's not a fighter, which we will see later on in the movie. He is definitely not a fighter.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, and I think, and so, not to go too much into the plot, but we'll just say that the other actress, FK Twigs, who plays Shelly,
Yep.
right? She's the love interest. She is trying to escape some very shady people who essentially have, like, one of her friends reached out and like, hey, the video, like this, blackmail video, whatever it is, I'm sending it out. Get out of town. And it's unclear what the video is. They show a snippet.
they show the first part of the video.
That's a big part of the film is like they show the first part of the video. It just looks like they're partying, whatever. And you're like, how bad is this video?
Yeah, it looks like that's why I was confused, because they showed the first start of the video. She's like, "You got to get rid of this." Her friend Zadie calls up Shelly, the other main character, and she says, "You got to get rid of that video. They're after us." And I had so many questions from
Yeah.
that, because I'm like, she looks at the video and it just looks like they're kicking it. It
Yep,
looks like
yep.
they're just having fun. And maybe the video ends with like yelling or something.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it ends with yelling, but they don't show you what they're yelling about, right? Because
That's
they got to keep
kinda-
that for later.
Exactly.
To flesh
Right.
out Shelley's character or
Yep,
whatever.
yep.
And so I was just kind of confused of like, does homie just want them to delete the video so he won't be canceled or something? Like,
That's what it seemed like.
yeah, does he have sponsorships that he's trying to keep or something? Like, it was weird. It was a weird thing.
You
right?
don't really know like the gravity of like how bad is this video really? Is it just some like bad moment that he doesn't want broadcasted, or is it something that's actually really serious? When she says, "Get out of town, he's coming for you,"
Yeah.
and then essentially they're coming after the person like her Zadie on the phone as well. She knows, okay, it's serious. Like they got her friend. She's trying to essentially. She's heading back to her place, but then she's warned,
Yep.
and then she sees a couple of these other kind of, I would say, henchmen, right?
Yeah,
that
the
are
henchmen.
now after her.
Definitely.
And then it was a pretty funny scene. I think both of us kind of laughed where she's trying to run away, right? It's a serious scene, but then she, whether it was on purpose or not, just barrels into this cop, and then
Yeah.
it was like the scene from Project X when they hit the pinata and all the Molly pops out or whatever. Like
Dude.
her purse just explodes.
Her
And it's
purse
just like-
hits the floor, and it's a CVS pharmacy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, she literally has perks, ketamine, coke.
Oh, my God.
She has everything in her purse. She has Molly's, Xanax.
Yeah.
Like, how high is Shelley?
Like
dude?
that's what
How high is she right
that
now?
made us
right?
really question her. I'm like, okay, I really don't know.
Maybe
this
she's
character.
untrustworthy. Like, if you're walking around with that much drugs on
And
you,
you're on your.
I don't
What?
trust you, dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't trust you,
So
dude.
that's what makes, at least for me, that's what made me think it was intentional that she barreled into the cop, because she's like, okay, I'm gonna get caught up with all this stuff,
Yep.
and they're gonna take me to jail, which will save me from this. One of this guys
And
trying
see,
to
I didn't
take
even
my
pick
life.
up on that. I didn't
Yeah.
even pick up on like she did that intentionally. It was more of a like, I think she was just high, dude.
Yeah.
I think she was just really high.
Honestly,
she's like stumbling around. She's
she
like, oh
did-
my God, I got to get away from
She
these
did
guys.
look like that. Like she either was distraught or maybe, yeah. I mean, based on the purse. she
But
probably
see,
was high,
that
too.
could be a thing though.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could be
yeah.
like an unwritten thing. Like, okay, she barreled into this cop to get caught.
Yes,
So she
yeah,
could
yeah,
go away and be in a prison where she's away from the henchmen or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
So let's get to the henchmen. So the henchmen are working for a dude who made a deal with the devil. That's
Yep.
pretty much what they say. He's made a deal with the devil where he needs innocent souls, innocent people, to kill themselves or kill other people so he can live forever. So he's made a deal with the devil, and they never really get into like how he met the devil or anything like that, but we'll get into that. But like, so it opens with they show up at Zadie's house, and then they stab her in the neck with a sedation, whatever that is, put her out. She wakes up, right? After Homegirls gets caught with all the drugs by the police, it cuts back to Zadie. She's in this room. And another thing with the imagery that I really liked, so they did certain things correct in this. When you see Vincent is the
antagonist.
the
yeah.
devil guy or whatever, right? So he drags his stool on the ground and makes a loud screeching thing, and like the framing is cool and it's loud and annoying, and it's like, okay, this guy is kind of menacing.
Yes.
Who is this guy? And you don't know that he's made this deal with the devil, but you know that he's a bad guy, right? So he whispers in this chick's ear, and then she basically eyes roll back. So he's got some type of demonic power.
There's like some possession. that's
Yeah. So he
definitely
has a
involved there.
demonic power from the devil that he's made a deal with.
Yep.
And she just starts stabbing herself in the neck, kills herself on the spot, right? So this video must be like outing him or
Yeah,
something.
it's got to be something bad, because if he's willing to essentially have this girl like possessed, kill herself, it's
Yeah.
got to be bad.
Yeah, so basically this video is outing him as a demonic guy, and he doesn't want it to go on Instagram.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it to go on TikTok or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
He doesn't want to go viral for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. He's not trying to be the viral devil guy, right?
Yeah.
And so basically they have this underworld organization that has been established, right? The one problem with this is they never really go into what is this organization? Why is he the boss?
True.
How did he meet the devil? How did he make connections with the devil to where he's going to kill people and all this stuff and for the devil? Like, they never really go into it. And that would have been such an interesting plot device where I was waiting for some like Illuminati type stuff to come up later in the movie that never came up, and it was just kind of like they kind of missed out. They dropped the ball on that.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And for me, like seeing the original Crow, that was actually a huge plot point that was not part of the original Crow. For those of you who've seen the original Crow, which threw me off because we know like essentially the power of the Crow and invincibility and all that stuff if you've seen the original. But in this one, there's this whole other subplot of like this demonic bad guy, and we were thinking
it's like a supernatural thing.
Yes,
Other than the Crow being supernatural, the bad guys are supernatural.
Exactly. They were trying to essentially make like two supernatural entities, I guess, as opposed
fighting each
to,
other or something. Like the
Yeah,
Crow
yeah,
is
yeah.
the good supernatural entity that's
Yeah.
fighting, and then you have the bad syndicate of like devil guys.
So
or
I'll
something.
give credit for like originality and trying to do something different. But we both, I think, agree that we wish it was explored more because it was just a thing that was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, he has a deal with the devil and like
Deal with the devil. You know, it happens every day. You know what I mean?
like,
You don't know the devil?
you don't you ever heard of the devil? Wait,
Bro, I chill with
I
the
got it on
devil.
speed dial.
Bro, I chill with the devil at Sharky's every week.
Oh, yeah,
bro.
dude.
Every weekend, bro. The devil's there, kicking it.
he always gets the first round. Dude.
Bro, and that's why I love him. You know? It's like, so that was one thing that came up later there. I was like, are they gonna like expound on
Yeah.
what this is? And they never do. And that's a part of the writing and a part of the time frame that they have. They got 2 hours. They got
Yes.
2 hours to
That's a big
explain,
part of it.
right?
Yep.
And so what happens is so FKA Twigs, Shelly, she gets caught by the cops, right? They put her in the same rehab, co-ed rehab with Eric, who is the Crow. And so they hit it off, and basically their little teen angst thing or whatever works for each other. And so one day, the syndicate, the Devil Syndicate or whatever, we'll call them the Devil Syndicate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she sees them come into the jail and she's like, oh my God, they're here for me,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
And so she hides behind this post and he's like, oh, let me check it out. It just looks like some lawyers, right? But her mom is with them too. So they establish that her mom may be down with this syndicate, right? And so she's super scared, right? So he's just like, yo, I'll show you the exact way to get out of this prison. Yeah, I'm just kicking it, but I'll show you how to get out of here, right? So then they go to a laundromat thing or whatever. He tells her like, just go through this vent and you're out of here, right? And so it's just so funny to me because it's like, bro's just been kicking it. He knows how to escape.
Dude, he's been getting bullied left and right. I'm like,
Bro, he's been getting
even
bullied.
the guards, the people he's there with.
Guards, people,
That was
everything.
so confusing too, because I'm like, what did this guy do to everybody?
Yeah,
Like,
it was so weird. So basically, he meets up with this chick, like they hit it off, and he's instantly like, "Yo, I know how to get out of here." Like he's just been kicking it. Like I like this place,
Yeah.
right? So he tells her how to get out, and then once she's about to get into the vent, he's like, "All right, you know what? Screw it. I'm ready to escape now too."
Yeah, it's like if anybody's gonna use my escape plan, it's gonna be me.
I've just been waiting.
Yeah.
I've been waiting on this plan, right? And so for some reason they let people have knives or razor blades in this prison.
Oh, yeah, that was-
full of people that have mental
Yeah.
disabilities or whatever.
Right,
Like they
like-
have issues, right? Just give them knives. Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah.
Nobody cares,
Oh,
dude.
man.
So basically, he chops off her tracking device on her ankle. He chops off his. He's like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. So it cuts to them. They jump over this barbed wire fence, which is also funny because like he tosses the hoodie on there,
Dude,
right?
Yeah, he saw this super small, like long sleeve, and I don't know, maybe it was just me, maybe you've seen it too, but I was like, there's no chance they're both getting over there, dude. Somebody's getting
Exactly.
cut up by this barbed wire, and then it's just like They toss it over, ready? And then it just cuts away, and then they're just running. Like, oh, they
Bro,
both made it.
and when they toss it over, it's not even like laid out
Yeah.
over the barbed wire. It's like folded. It's like this much. It's like literally
He
only
barely
covering one
drapes it
barb.
over. Like, he wouldn't even get over there.
It's only
Maybe
one
she
barb that
could.
it's covering.
No.
So it has all these other barbs. It's like, okay, whatever. We cut to the woods. They're running through the woods, right? And so they get away from the prison. The easiest I've ever seen. This is the easiest prison escape.
Prison break, like, there's maybe an alarm sounding. I don't even know. Like,
no alarm, no security.
Yeah, there was nobody chasing after them.
Like, the cops are on lunch or
They were
something.
like, oh man, they went through the vent, and then that was it.
Yeah, right? Because they weren't tracing them at first, and then they were like,
yo.
yo.
They find their things, and they're
like, all right, whatever.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
-2 on the logs, like, whatever. It was weird. So anyway, they end up back at her crib, and then you see her crib is like super laid, right? And I'm like, what does she do for a living to have this super laid crib? But then they drop that it's her friend's crib. He's out of town or whatever. So they're kicking it at the crib. She has the phone, right, with the all important video, the cancel video on there. She hides it in a wall safe, right? When they get back, hides it in a wall safe, blah blah blah, right? And so now we go into the summer of love, and this is a big problem I had with the movie too. They go into this summer of love where it's like, this does not convince me enough that I personally would give my life for this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's a level of buying into, and I think actually love is a huge concept in this, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if it was like this authentic, like, this love that you had and and it's like it lasted longer than a month or 3 weeks or however long they've been hanging out.
So that was a weird thing too.
Yeah.
Because it did where it was like maybe a couple of months.
Yeah, you have to
was
assume
it a couple
there's
of months?
some kind of time that went by. Because
It was definitely more than weeks. It was more than a month.
Yeah, that's the tough part to buy into. Even if it was weeks, even if it was months, I feel like once we talk a little bit later about
the only thing they showed of their love was just like doing drugs and like kicking it.
Like this sequence of
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you met a chick at like Lightning in the Bottle,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And you had all out drugs ready, right? And like she's just with you that whole weekend.
That entire time.
Then,
like,
yeah.
That was essentially the sequence of like they're out like in this lake or this pond or whatever,
so that's why I go to Lightning in a Bottle, because I'm like, they're out in wilderness with other friends. So she has other friends that aren't affected by this video. There were friends in the video that are affected that will come up later, but like there are friends that she's like kicking it with. They're out in the middle of the wilderness or whatever, swimming in a lake, on drugs, and like they're just living the life. And I'm just like, the whole time me and JC are watching it, I'm just like, where are they getting this money from? Like, how are they just like living this life?
And
not saying that they have to like go work at McDonald's or something. I don't need to see that footage.
Sure.
But it's just kind of like, they're just kicking it.
You
bruh.
came straight from like a prison/rehab center, and then like all of a sudden you're balling. Like,
yeah, it was so weird. I'm like, bro, as an adult, I can't accept that.
Well, because it's tough because we're like, how long were you in there? We know at least Bill Skarsgård, Eric, right? His character was in there. He must have been in there for a while, I think. And then she was most recently in there.
It seems like he was in there for a while.
Yeah, it seemed like
years.
That. Yes,
or something, right?
That's why it was tough to tell there too.
Yeah. So they fall in love.
But yeah, if you just jump past that, you gotta just be like, okay, let's buy into it.
We accepted it. We accepted it. You know, we're not going to be like haters and be like, once we're in the universe, we're in this universe of the movie, we're just going to accept it. We're in it. Okay, they love each other.
Yep.
They love each other. Yep. I don't think that that's love, but they love each other, right? And so basically they're just kicking it at the club one night, and then one of the other people that are in the video pops up on her.
Yep.
Warns her, hey, the Devil Syndicate is after us.
Yeah.
They killed Zadie and they're going to kill us, right?
Yep.
And so that's when, so this is about almost 40 minutes in, right? So that was another gripe that I had, was the build up to see like the crow or them being killed eventually or whatever, for him to come back for revenge or whatever. It took 40 minutes, bro, and this is only a 2-hour movie. So you're
Yeah.
taking 40 minutes to get to a point to where you could have cut out some of that other stuff
Yes.
that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And you could have focused on who is this devil syndicate and their love, right? If they
Yes.
would have focused on just that rather than these little small scenes that didn't mean anything along the way, I feel like it would have made more of a connection of like, oh, this is what the Devil Syndicate is. This is why they do this, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
and I think the thing is, and I'll go back to a little bit about the original Crow. In the original Crow, they're a kind of like happy couple who have been together for a while, hell bent on revenge. They both
Years.
years, right? I think that it's their fiance or maybe they're married, I'm not sure, girlfriend, whatever.
there's more stakes
yes,
involved. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Like it's your wife.
And because
getting
it's
murdered.
established that early, there's basically saying like, oh, this is an established relationship. We don't need to show how it was born. Like we don't need to show all that stuff. They'll go a little couple flashbacks here and there.
Yeah.
But I think this film tried to say like, oh, since we're building these relationships from ground zero,
Yep.
we have to put the time in to really show how this love blossoms. And it still felt like not enough time. So I
Yep.
feel like but I will say I do appreciate that they try to do something different, right? Because you don't want to do the same cookie cutter, like
The
try
same
to,
exact.
Yeah, because then
Right.
what's the point in creating the movie? You're just trying to redo the same movie. No,
Yeah,
like you got to create a
exactly.
different plot. So
Exactly.
it's a tough thing to do because you're trying to build this love in this short amount of time, and it still feels too short, but it also feels too long because you're like,
Yeah.
I just want to see how this guy becomes the Crow.
Yeah, we need to become the Crow now.
We got to
right?
already do it's too late. Like you're taking too long.
So we're up
Yeah.
to, so basically once the character Dom, I think his name was, runs up on her
Yep.
in the club, right? Tells her like, yo, they're after us. You need to leave town, right? So they go back to somebody's house. They never establish another place that they got. And homie has a full setup.
dude, he had, like,
homie has the same keyboard, speakers. Like, I'm just like, where are they getting this loot
I wish
from?
I had friends like this that are just like
Dude,
popping into their
straight
house.
up,
Like,
where are they,
Yeah.
bro? So they go back to his studio. He's like
Yeah.
playing keyboard. She's like singing because she is a music artist.
Yep.
So they had to put her in there singing a little bit, whatever, right? And so basically they get caught up at that spot, at the
Yep.
studio spot or whatever. And so this is another thing with the imagery. Their death scene was pretty hardcore.
Oh yeah.
You know,
For
with
sure
the
it was
bags.
hardcore.
So basically, the henchmen come in, bust in, put bags around their heads.
Yeah.
Like they're suffocated with bags, which is pretty hardcore, dude. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of feel it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in the seat, just like I can't even breathe now. You know,
Yeah.
just looking at them. So that was another cool imagery thing where it was like it really sold. Like, dang, they died pretty rough.
And a testament to the acting as well. Like
Yeah.
to Coot's point right here is like, honestly, they pulled the bag over. It looked real. Like they must have. It's a little method acting. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
But at least for Bill Skarsgård, dude, the bag was like in the very back of his
he
mouth.
was
I'm like,
he was sucking in.
Oh
dude.
my God.
Like he was method acting for real.
Yeah.
And so basically kills them both or whatever. And this is where the movie starts in terms of the Crow, right? So they both die. They have this really cool imagery scene where they're in water. She's floating deeper and deeper. He grabs for her. It's like just missing the fingertips grab, and she goes deep. And then he's like swims to the top.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then once he swims to the top, he comes out in purgatory.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
That's what we. Yeah. That's a. I think that's the best.
Yeah,
way to
it's like the
describe it.
middle in between
Yes, it's kind of like
realities
he's
or
not
something.
completely gone, but like he's not in the real world anymore.
Yep.
And
that's where he meets the dude who gives him the powers of the Crow. Now they never establish who this guy is. They never establish like why he gives this power to people or anything. But it's so weird with the dialogue on this part because it's like reading a recipe on Google. Like he literally says exactly what the power is, why you got it.
yeah.
You have the power to do this and that and blah, blah, blah because of this and that and blah, blah, blah. And it's
Yeah.
like, bro, like, if you're going to give me a step-by-step thing of, like, make it a little bit more
A
mystical.
little ominous, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Give the audience some credit here.
Yeah,
Like,
make me question. You didn't show me the whole video. I'm questioning the video. Make me question what this power is. But
Yeah.
homie just puts it so plain and so just like matter of fact, just like, yo, this is what it is.
seek revenge on your enemies.
Yeah, it's like, so basically what he does is the dude who gives him the power of the crow tells him like, yo, if you seek revenge on, if you kill every person that killed you two,
Yeah.
you will both come back to life happily ever after.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so he gives him the first level of the power of the crow. Right? And I say this is the first level because later on, he gets the real level of the crow. So
which was
the first couple of levels are okay, right?
Yeah.
And so basically he gets the power of the crow, right? Comes back alive in the apartment by himself. Shelly's not there anymore. He's looking around, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, yo, I need to kill these fools, right? And so now we start getting into the realness.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think one thing to note too is for this kind of, we'll call first level of the crow power, it's powered by love, right? It's powered by this undoubted.
You cannot doubt. You
yeah,
cannot doubt.
yes,
There's no doubt.
no
You have to
doubt.
just truly love whatever it is. Exception. You got to
Yes,
accept.
yes. So essentially, his love for Shelly is supposed to be his superpower now, and it can't be questioned in any regard.
Yep.
Otherwise, maybe it won't exist, right?
Yep,
So,
exactly. And they established that later where things happen.
Yep.
So this is where the movie starts rolling right now.
Yep.
He finally gets the powers of the crow. Let's get it, right? So he tracks down the syndicate, right? He walks up on this dude in the car. He's one of the henchmen that killed them or whatever. Murders him, right? Grabs the phone, looks at the phone like, yo, I'm going to track down these fools, right? But the fools walk out of the building right in back of him.
Yeah, and the funny part was when we were watching the movie, he's just like, yo, is he gonna? They're right there.
Yeah, they're right there. Just hop out of the whip,
dude,
murder them
I get
all.
It. Like the phone says they're gonna go over here, but they're
You have a
also
gun.
right there.
And it was a huge gun, too.
it
That
was
gun
huge.
was big, dude,
Oh, yeah, I
right?
know. Oh, yeah,
It blew dude's chest
that other
out,
part
dude.
too, where he pulled it out of the Cheetos bat, or was that the same?
No,
Oh,
that was later. That was later.
Sorry.
So
Yeah, sorry, I forgot
that was funny though. So basically, he sees the Devil Syndicate in back of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let me go kill the Devil Syndicate right now.
Yep.
So he hops out the whip. Good, let's go.
Yes,
Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Right? They're not pussyfooting around over here. They're getting straight to the point, right? And so he gets out, starts blasting at him when
Oh,
they get in the
man.
car.
Hardcore.
The car smacks him, right? He goes through the windshield, and this is cool.
Yeah.
He starts fighting the dudes in the car, kills the driver.
Yeah.
Like, this is all really cool stuff. Hops in the back seat with the other dudes, fighting, blah, blah, blah.
boom, boom.
And then they toss him out of the car, dude.
Yeah.
And then what happens, dude?
Oh my God. All right. So for me, like, I would say it's probably a highlight of the film in that, like, you know, you haven't really seen him test out his crow powers, right?
Yep.
Like, he's been getting shot and whatever. Yeah, like, oh,
Yep.
even if you were a human, maybe you'd still be okay.
Yep.
This guy gets tossed out, and then honk honk, semi truck coming, boom, just gets
Dude.
straight blasted, and not
Blasted.
blasted like gets hit and launches, like gets hit and gets rolled under, and then. And he's
Dude,
doing
rolls under
somersaults-
the truck,
Somersaults
dude.
under this truck.
Homie is messed up,
Mangled, dude. I know.
Mangled.
Oh my God.
And it's so, this is the one thing about the movie that I really like is it is very visceral. So
Yes.
when he gets smacked by the truck and rolls under the wheels and like rolls out of the side, bro, I was just like, dang,
Yeah.
they're going this hard?
Oh my gosh.
They're going this hard because the right before actually he went and got hit by the truck or whatever and found the dudes or whatever. There was a really cool scene when he came back in the apartment that we actually forgot. He came back in the apartment and back alive, and a cop came that was working with the
yeah,
Devil
yeah.
Syndicate, right? And that's when I knew, that was the tip off when I was like, yo, this movie might go kind of hard with the action.
Yeah.
Because the cop was like, I'm a cop, right? And him being a good, Eric being a good guy, he's just like, okay, I'm going to drop my knife or whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Drops his knife, trusting the cop. Cop immediately just blasts him in the chest,
and
dude.
the sound in the theater. That's
Dude.
why, like, for theater, like you have to watch movies in theaters.
Yeah,
like the
dude.
first experience.
It scared me.
It scared. We both jumped for sure. I mean, I think other people did too, but absolutely we did. It was
Straight up, dude. Straight up. So it was
Boom!
just like
We're
that.
just like, oh.
Yeah,
And
it
we
was
looked at each other
loud,
after, like,
and it was
all
out of
right.
nowhere. It was
Yeah.
out of nowhere,
I'm like,
right?
Okay. I have hope for this movie now.
Yeah.
a little
So that
bit.
was the first tip off that the action was going to be hard.
Yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
for sure.
So basically, gets ran over by this truck, gets back up. He doesn't die on that part though, right? He doesn't go
No.
back to purgatory,
No,
right?
he doesn't go back to purgatory.
Yeah, he goes to his homie's crib.
Because and mainly I remember this is like you're like, dude, this guy just got mangled. He tries to stand up, bone is out of his leg.
Oh my God.
And he just goes, and he's like,
Pops it back in,
and
dude.
just screams,
Pops it back
bloody
in.
murder.
So then he shows up to his homie's house.
Yep, then he goes
right?
to his homie's house.
So his homie, who they don't establish who it is, maybe an old roommate or something, who
Sure.
knows,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's a-
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Where you been, blur?" And he says this one line. I wish I could remember
Oh,
what
yeah,
that line was. It
I
was
know, I
so
know. We were talking about it on the way here.
terrible. I thought you were dead, man. And he says this line that is just so.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
cringe,
Along the lines of
dude.
like, because I was like, it was just
Or
so
something,
cheesy.
yeah,
or
dude.
like,
You literally heard audible people chuckling
oh no,
in the
yeah.
crowd.
I hope that was intentional, but maybe
It was bad, dude.
It
It
was
was bad. Dialogue in this movie is not on.
Yeah,
right?
that's one. The big thing is like the dialogue.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
so
it.
anyway, the homie, the roommate or whatever, Eric says like, "Yo, I need a strap, I need a gun or whatever," because he's about to, he needs to kill the whole Devil Syndicate. So homie pulls out a Cheetos bag that's just sitting on the side, pulls out a strap out of the Cheetos bag and is just like, "Yo, here."
There you go.
And then I feel like he's gonna like pull in the bag and start eating some Cheetos. He doesn't do that, but he like looks at the bag like there's something else in there or
All right,
something.
he's
So
like,
I
"Oh,
was
you're
just
gonna
like,
need these
is he gonna
soon."
eat some Cheetos out? Yeah.
Imagine he
So
dropped a
basically,
couple
gives
bullets.
him some clips or whatever.
Yeah.
So now he's strapped up. Now he's ready for war. So then we cut to back to the mom. I think this is when it goes back
yes,
to
I
the
think
mom,
so. Yep,
right?
yep.
So it establishes that her mom is in cahoots with the Devil Syndicate, right? And so she gave her daughter's life, whatever is on the rest of the video, she gave her daughter to this devil dude, Vincent, the main character, the main antagonist.
Yeah, played by Denny Houston, by the way, just to throw that out there.
And you know this guy, you've seen him in so much stuff.
Wonder
like he's,
Woman, he was the main antagonist. And
You
he's
know
been
him,
in a
dude.
ton of other stuff.
So basically, she's in cahoots with this Devil Syndicate, and so he goes to her crib to like tell her like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill your daughter" or something. He's telling her like, "Yo, I'm after your daughter. Where is she? Blah blah blah, whatever."
Yeah.
And so it's just so funny when they go into her house, basically because like the mom's like has just picture of herself. Like, not pictures of kids,
Oh, that's
not
a good
pictures of her
point.
family.
I didn't even really
not
realize
pictures,
that.
dude. She just has like pictures of herself, like huge pictures, take up the whole
I do
wall.
remember seeing some self-portraits.
pictures,
You're
right?
Like,
Yeah,
okay.
dude. So she just has self-portraits of her all around it. So she's narcissistic, I guess. They're establishing like this lady is all about herself. She gave her kid so she could live forever,
gotta be
or
what it-
something.
yeah,
It's got to
that
be
makes
like
so mad.
it's
Yeah,
got to
that
be some Illuminati type thing where if you give innocent people away, you get to live
You get
longer.
to live this life, or
or something.
some kind of thing.
Right, and so what does he do? He whispers in her ear with the same thing that he did to Zadie earlier on, and then her eyes roll back, and then she jumps out a window, commits suicide.
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Another
establishing.
shocking scene, right?
Yeah, dude, out of nowhere. So
The death scenes are just like insane. In this
yeah,
movie, for
dude,
sure.
she smacks the pavement, dude, like
Yeah.
splat sound effects, dog. And
Yeah.
so, so basically, they go from that into now. We never see FKA Twigs till later, but it's still implied that she is somewhat part of the story because he is fighting for her.
Yeah.
And so now he gets to, does he go back to the crib? He goes back to the crib now. And then the new henchmen show up.
Yes.
With the shotgun,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the shotgun dude shows up, like 3 dudes show up to kill him because now the word is out to the main devil guy that, yo, the power of the crow is after us, right?
Yes,
But
yeah,
he
yeah.
wants the power of the crow, which is confusing.
It is. It's a little confusing because essentially we're under the assumption that, and I think it's maybe talked about, but after like thinking about it, he essentially takes innocent lives because he made a deal with the devil,
Yeah.
and that gives him eternal life.
Yeah, so he can live forever or
yeah,
whatever.
and I think in order to maintain this eternal life, he has to continue to provide innocent people to the devil in some respect, and with the like demonic words and trying to whatever that entails. But I guess in some way he thinks he can like get the power of the crow, which will
And just
also
become
give him that
ultra,
eternal life.
like
Or maybe-
ultra.
That's
like,
true, yeah, because it's like
Maybe
you
he
already
can
have
beat the
eternal
devil or
life,
something. Yeah, so it was weird. Like, why did he want the power of the crow? That was never established. It was just an extra thing that was added in. Like, now he wants the power of the crow. So now he's sending the henchmen after the crow
Yeah.
to bring him back alive so he can take the power from him, which he doesn't need because all he got to do is just kill random fools that he invites to his crib and then
Yeah.
he can live forever. So
Well,
that was weird too.
And the tough part was like we were trying to gauge like does he have like remorse for like this stuff he's doing, because like initially when he kills Zadie, he says, "Oh yeah, I every time I take an innocent's life, it never gets easier," or something along
and
those
he's been
lines.
doing it for centuries, so he's
and he said
hundreds
for
of years
centuries,
old.
Yeah. So is that trying to tell us like he has some kind of remorse, and maybe by him getting the power of the crow, then he can have this eternal life without
That's what it is, dude.
That's what I
You
think they were
figured it out.
trying to do.
You figured it out. It was not explicit enough for the common man like me. See, JC has a big brain.
Nah, come
he
on.
has a big brain. He's deeper than me, so he got that. But like, I didn't think about that until you just said that.
Well,
But that does make sense, though. He doesn't want to kill innocent people anymore because he does have some level of remorse. So now he wants the power of the crow so he can live forever without killing people.
That's what I would think, but he never seems to have any remorse. Like that's the
Yeah,
confusing part. He seems like he's
he's
enjoying
just
it.
evil. He's
yeah,
just an evil
he's
dude.
evil, but he's like, it's less work, maybe. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't have to
guess.
like go through all that. Like
Yeah, he doesn't have to kick it at Sharky's and find new LMU chicks to take back to his crib to kill. Like,
Yeah.
So that I guess it's easier
Yeah.
with him just getting the crow. So anyway, he sends some more henchmen out, and this is where the action again shows us like, yo, this movie kind of goes hard.
Yeah, this
He
is when
gets
it ramps
blasted in the chest with a shotgun,
Hole
like
through the
hole
stomach.
hole in his chest, in the
Yeah,
stomach, right?
shows it. It's like-
And so he goes back to purgatory, right? But now something happens that changes the plot, right? This is a big event. So he goes back to purgatory with the unnamed dude who gives the power of the crow to people or whatever. And the dude is like admonishing him because he's like, hey, you screwed up.
Oh, yeah,
You
no,
got killed without, and now you have, no.
Yeah.
He saw, while he was with the roommate,
Yep.
he saw the rest of the video.
He has the phone. He sees the video.
Sees the rest of the video.
It shows, and it's unclear, right? It shows Shelly on the piano.
Yep.
Vincent, right? Danny Houston puts the knife down on the piano. She picks it up,
Yep.
walks over.
He whispers in her ear
and
first.
whispers in her
Yep,
ear.
Does that.
Walks up, boom, starts stabbing her friend in the neck.
Starts
and it's
stabbing
like,
homegirl in
what?
the neck, dude, out of
okay,
nowhere,
so,
dude.
but from Eric's perspective, all he sees is she's on the piano, she picks up a knife and stabs her friend in the neck. Like, maybe
Yep.
he sees the guy whisper in her ear, but he doesn't really put two and two together. He just thinks she murdered somebody for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. He
that-
thinks she's a bad person.
Right? He starts to question this kind of euphoric, like,
The drug love. He
The-
questions the drug love that they
the
have.
lightning in a bottle love.
Yeah,
He starts to
exactly.
question it. And so
Exactly.
there's doubt now.
Yep.
And that was the whole big plot point, was that it has to be
True love.
True love
Yeah.
without any doubt.
Without any doubt, which is not true love because true love has doubts
There's-
and different
yeah.
emotions in love. right?
That's true too. That's
And
true
so
too.
basically, he gets his crow power stripped away.
Yep.
Right? And so he makes a deal with this purgatory dude. He says, like, look, check it out. We both don't have to come back. How about I still avenge and it brings her back and then I'm in hell forever. I'll take eternal damnation because of that lightning in a bottle love. I will get rid of myself as long as she can come back, right? And so now is where he gets the true powers of the crow.
Yep.
Now is where he gets like all the level. He's level 10 crow now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Level 10
And
crow, I like it.
so they have this like cool imagery thing.
I was gonna say back to the cinematography.
Yeah.
Pans to him.
Yep.
Black blood coming
He's
out of his eyes.
he's crying black or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's cool imagery. If you took still frames of this stuff, it'd be like, yo, this is cool. It'd make a cool graphic novel,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so basically, he gets the full powers of the crow, and now he's ready for action, right? Now he's done tracked down the main Vincent, the main devil guy, and the number 2 guy, even though it's a girl. But he tracked them down to an opera, and now this is where I start giving the movie points.
Absolutely.
It took an hour and 20 minutes to get to this part. but it goes hard.
It goes hard. It goes hard.
Dude.
It honestly, like, it was tough to, like, you're watching them try to build this world and create this love, and you're like, okay, we're gonna get to the crow, and like, okay, we start to see the crow. Okay, he's in action, but he's like a little hesitant. Like,
Yeah, and he sucks at fighting. So
he's not great at fighting.
previously, like, he's getting beat up the whole time. He's getting stabbed and all this stuff. And he can feel everything. He can
Yeah.
feel everything, every shot, every stab. He can feel it. He just heals from it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Wolverine. Because
Yes.
Wolverine can feel everything.
Yeah.
Even his claws come out.
Yeah.
Wolverine can feel everything, but he just heals.
regenerate,
So he just
yeah.
takes it, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dude. So they finally get to the opera, right? He's tracked down the,
oh
the
yeah,
top dudes.
just slightly before that, like when he finally comes back to in the bathtub, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then that's when the action actually really kicks
Yeah.
up.
That's when it turns into like 20 minutes of like straight
Yeah,
action.
and that's what I was saying.
20 or
like,
30 minutes.
Boy Kills World, just to say that again, like Bill Skarsgård, it's essentially, it's that same vibe of him just like one-man army just going through and just like, get out of my way. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get to the...
John Wick style.
Yeah,
like,
it's for sure John Wick style.
murking everything in existence,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we get to the opera. It's really cool with the imagery because they have the opera going on while he's walking up. Homie has a sword
And he
now.
had a sword at his pad.
Dude,
somehow.
had a
He-
sword.
He's just like in the mirror, just
And
like...
it's a cool sword.
It's a
like
cool
it's
sword.
a dope sword.
Yeah, for sure.
And so now he's ninja style. He's just going up. Security's like doing their things like, okay, we're clear here. We're clear here. And he just walks up.
Like,
He's
no,
got
you're
the
not.
crow circling him. Like he's
Oh,
full
yeah.
crow, bro.
He's full crow.
He's full crow. So he walks up, dog, and he's over there just like, okay, I'm using swords. Like no gun. He
Yeah.
does have a gun.
Yeah.
He doesn't use it much. He goes in straight up sword, hacking the neck, chopping off heads. And I mean, this isn't one of those movies that cuts away. Like
No.
it shows,
If anything, it zooms in.
dude, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised there wasn't slow-mo in this. Because
Yeah.
slow-mo would have made it even more like,
Oh, I
geez,
know,
right?
I
But they
know.
probably couldn't do slow-mo because it was so extreme with the
Graphic and,
violence.
yeah,
Yeah, like
gory and-
it wouldn't have been able to be released if it was slow-mo on this stuff. Because I mean, he
Straight on
hacks
out,
a
yeah.
dude in the head. They don't pan away. They don't show a blood splatter on the
Oh,
wall.
man.
Like you just see the sword come down into the head and like it
Yeah.
stays there
There's
for a
one where
couple of
he-
seconds.
They put it in his mouth,
Oh
and he's
my
like,
God,
"Hey, let's
dude.
make your smile a little bit bigger."
Dude,
Like, oh,
puts
God.
it in the
Almost to
dude's
the ear.
face. Yes.
It was
and just
inches away
pushes
from his
back.
ear.
Pushes back with the
Oh,
sword. His jaw drops down. I'm like, that's when I look at JC and I'm like, okay,
All right,
this
I'm-
is going
I'm back
pretty
in.
hard.
I'm back in.
This is going pretty hard. So
Yeah.
action-wise, he just he blows through all these dudes. I mean, he
Yeah.
gets stabbed in his back with his own sword. They take it from him, stab on his back, so he's got a sword coming out.
Yeah.
He's grabbing
pulls
fools
this
to him, just like he's walking around hugging fools
Oh, yeah.
with the sword in him, dude.
And that's why, like, he finally, like, really embodied, like, okay, I'm invincible, so let me use that. There's a dude
Dude.
behind him with the sword still in him, and he puts a gun behind him because he's got the guy right here.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom.
Shoots
Just
through himself to
blasting through
blast
himself.
it hard.
Yeah, it was.
The whole opera scene was so hard, and then so he finally makes it to the number 2 chick or whatever.
Yep.
And so he's like, "Yo, where is the number 1 guy? Where's Vincent?" Right? She drops the address like instantly. She's just like,
Yeah.
she tries to get some remorse from him. He's like, "Nah," still cuts off her head.
Yeah.
Right? So he cuts off another dude's head. Where that was the head that the dude that actually
Oh,
killed
yeah, yeah.
Shelley. He chopped off his
Oh,
head.
yeah,
It
you're
was the
right.
dude that killed Shelley because when he killed Shelley, he gave her a kiss as she was like suffocating with the bag. It was
Yeah.
terrible. So
Yeah.
he kissed her
Oh,
while she was dying. So he chops off that dude's head, gets to the number 2, chops off her head, and this is a hard scene too.
Oh, my God.
Walks out on the stage while the opera's
the
still
opera.
going, bruh. While the opera's still going, 2 heads, tosses them into the crowd. I was like,
That's why I was like, I was
Bro.
waiting for him to be like, "Are you not entertained?"
bro,
Like,
straight up gladiator style,
Oh my
bro.
God.
Heads, tosses them into the crowd. Crowd disperses.
yeah,
Hard.
rightfully so.
Dude, so that 30-minute sequence of whatever, we were
Highlight of the
totally in
film.
it. We were
Highlight of the
totally in
film.
it, dude. And it added a couple of points because if it wouldn't have had something that hard in it, it was kind of like this movie's a drab.
Yes.
If it didn't have the imagery spot on, and if it didn't have the action sequences spot on, this movie would have been a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what
Oh,
I mean?
yeah,
If it was boring and drawn out and didn't have the imagery and the action, 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right? So basically he tracks down the homie to his mansion or whatever. He talks to him for a little bit, blah, 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 but he never explains how he met the devil or what this whole devil syndicate thing is. He never explains that, dude.
Yeah.
And so that was another bummer, right? And so basically they get into this fight. They get into a fight, and so the crow smashes through a window with Vincent, the antagonist, the devil dude, smashes through a window, and they end up in purgatory.
Yep.
So the devil dude doesn't know what this is. He's like, where am I?
Because somehow this is like the first time where he, like, essentially, Eric has went for like the suicide bomb, right?
Yep.
But took Vincent with him, so actually was able to take him to purgatory. Because every other sequence, he's just gone by himself. But this time, pulls somebody with him, boom, now Vincent's in the purgatory.
Yep, they're both in purgatory. They have a fight scene and blah, blah, blah. And so Vincent gets the upper hand and starts taking his crow powers, right? Starts bleeding out of his eyes black or whatever. So he's almost got what he wants, right? And so a struggle ensues, blah, blah, blah. Eric turns the tables on Vincent, starts just like beating him to a pulp, like straight up. And this is visceral too, just beating him to a pulp, right? And so you see these devil hands come out and grab Vincent down, and then Vincent gets pulled down to the abyss, just like FKA Twigs, Shelly. She got pulled down to the abyss. So I guess that's hell. And so Vincent gets pulled down to the abyss. Boom, we're done here, right? And so he's finally avenged everybody. He's killed everybody in line to get Shelly back. And so now Shelly's coming back, and this is where the imagery stops being cool and starts being funny. Like, basically, it's like black water, right? You see a hand come
All
out.
Of a sudden, this hand is just like,
yep.
like what's going on?
Shelly's hand comes out. They grip, and he's just like, he pulls her up. And she comes up, and it's just goofy looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just cheesy looking, how she just comes out of the water. And it's just like, no.
This is not
They could have did something else, because, literally I started laughing when that happened. I think we both started laughing at the same time.
Because it's like, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
Like, the part of him getting pulled down looked pretty hardcore.
Yeah,
like,
it was
cool.
tight.
But her coming out, it was just not the same.
Her coming out of the water just looked super cheeseball.
Yeah, it was super cheeseball.
And so they ruined that thing or whatever. So anyway, she comes out. She's alive, right? And so he tells her, like, yo, I can't come back with you. So she comes back alive by herself. He goes on his own way into hell. They never really establish what happens to him. He says some line like, you know, it's not over yet, or something like they're setting up something where it's like, you know what, I'm going to be the crow. I'm just going to avenge people that have died or something. Yeah, they're setting him up to be like Spawn or something. I don't know, right? He's going to be some superhero or something that saves innocent people or something, right? And so she wakes up. So anyway, they do like a time not a time lapse, but like they go back.
They almost like kind of not reinvent, but they kind of change the timeline in a way. Like it pans back to both of them at Eric's apartment
when they got strangled with the bags.
With the bags, right?
Like
which
shortly
was like
after
halfway through the film or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so they go back, and basically, I guess him killing everybody cancels out everything that happened.
Yes, I think that's what they were trying to do.
Does a time jump back. She wakes up with the paramedic, and guess who the paramedic is?
The purgatory guy. I wanted to wait for them to guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Give him a second. So it's the paramedic that gave him the crow powers or whatever. So basically, he tells FKA Twigs, she's woken up from dying or whatever, and he says, he fought like hell for you. Yep. And then it cuts to him walking down the alleyway with the crow circling. Credits. Right, so it's kind of like, I guess he's going to be like Spawn. He's going to avenge innocent people or something like that. Yeah. So, with all that being said, what do you think? 1 out of 10, 1 through 10, what is this?
Okay, so I'll break it down a little bit in that dialogue, story. That wasn't quite it. I would say 1 to 2 for those ones. Then we think about like the action sequences, right? The cinematography. That's more in the 8 to 9 range for me. Mm-hmm. So if we're gonna split the difference here, I'm gonna say 4. 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
What do you think? How are you feeling about
So without the cool imagery and without the visceral, hyper-violent, graphic action scenes, this movie would have definitely been a snoozer. We
Yes.
actually saw two couples leave. We saw one couple leave earlier in the movie.
30
and
minutes
then,
in,
Yeah,
and-
and then we saw another couple walk out like right before the opera scene, which I'm like, dang, bro, you
missed
left right at the
out.
wrong
Missed
time.
out.
So this would have been a total snoozer without the cool imagery, which was spot on, and the action just being like, dang, bro.
Yeah.
So I would have gave this movie a 2 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
But those things brought it up for me, and I will have to agree that it is a 4 out of 10, which is not a good movie. This is not a movie I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
If I ever do watch this movie again, it'll just be straight cut
Streaming.
to the
Yeah.
to the opera scene, right?
Yeah.
So this is definitely not a movie that you should spend money on. But if you have a free ticket, or like when it comes on streaming, definitely watch it. It's like it's a throwaway. It's a throwaway movie, but it's not the worst movie ever made. Like people on YouTube are making it seem like it's the worst movie ever made. It's not the worst movie.
I
ever
wouldn't
made.
put it in that category. And like if
Yeah.
you got like A-list or you got some kind of like membership,
Yeah.
I think you could go check it out. Like
Definitely, dude.
it's gonna be a little bit of a slow burn initially, but
The
then,
first 40 minutes is not good.
Yeah, I mean, there's some entertainment value in there if you can.
There is some
entertain
schlock. There's
Yeah.
there's some schlock in there where, yes, it is
If you
entertaining.
go see it with a friend, I think you'll
Yeah.
have a good time just because there's like some satirical things that maybe weren't intentional, but hey, at least you're enjoying it.
And you'll probably be the only people in the movie theater, so you can talk.
Yeah,
It doesn't
there
matter.
you go.
dude. It doesn't matter.
There
There
you
were
go.
people in this theater with us, but I feel like they were laughing too, so it was kind of like it was just open door or whatever.
Yep.
But all in all, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we regretted it, right? I don't think.
No,
we'd
I
say we
wasn't. I was
regret it.
never bored,
Yeah.
but I was never fully entertained.
Yeah,
I was in
that's-
purgatory.
Yes. I feel the
So-
same way. That's
But yeah,
exactly what it
so,
was.
I mean, wait till streaming for it. Wait till streaming. It'll be on Max probably next month. So
Mm-hmm.
just wait till then. Give it a shot. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever.
yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. And if you're an action person, this goes harder than John Wick. Like the action scenes go harder than
Yes.
John Wick. So if you want to see some people die like ridiculously terrible,
Just some crazy, yeah.
definitely watch it. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. So that was Fresh Out. I'm Cood.
I'm JC.
Boom, and that was The Crow, dude. So catch us next time.
Thank you.
Boom. All right. How now, brown cow?
That's the one.
Whale's vagina. Okay.
Milk
All
was
right.
a bad choice. Milk was a bad choice.
Bro. That's so comedy. Okay. All right.